Inquiry podcast, as always in association with systembet.co.uk. I'm Cathryn Fry. Joining me as ever is Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk and John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. Well, what a weekend we have in store. Superb racing on both sides of the Irish Sea. This week we've got Cheltenham and Punchestown. The highlight here, of course, being the Paddy Power Gold Cup. Punchestown on Sunday, they have the Grade 1 Morgiana Hurdle. We're going to be taking a little look at those two cards very shortly. First of all, just want to deal with some listener questions that have been sent in. As always, thanks ever so much for listening and thanks for the questions. We do very much appreciate them. From Invicta Capital on Twitter, great question this. Who in the media is worth listening to? And in the words of Barney Curley, who is the biggest takeout merchant? And on that note, is Barney a hero or a villain? John, you're my favourite to answer this.
Thought I might have been. The people I like to listen to, so I'll start on a positive note and then just get progressively worse. I quite like Simon Rowlands, as he's a completely different approach to myself. And often gives quite a good counterpoint to where I'm thinking about a particular race or whatever. I like Tony Calvin.
Yeah.
He
says what he thinks.
Yeah. Lets the heart roll ahead occasionally, a bit like myself, which again I quite like. And that's enough of being positive. Let's get on to the takeout merchants. Right, your ex-jockeys for starters. Why you would employ anybody just to spout cliches, especially with sinus trouble like George Baker has, you know. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's snottering and stammering his way through a card every day, you know, and you get no insight whatsoever. It's just, this is a really nice horse and all this. There's nothing there. There's nothing leaks off the page at you. He's a worthy successor to the useless Dale Gibson who used to appear with monotonous regularity. The only good thing about Dale Gibson being on the telly was the fact that you weren't likely to be backing something he was riding if he was on the telly. I would class most of the ex-jockeys who appear. Tony McCoy I find quite agreeable on.
He says what he thinks. Now, I think in the realm of ex-jockeys, the two who I don't mind listening to are actually Tony McCoy and Ruby Walsh. I do think Ruby's very good on RTV.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a Dennis Taylor persona about him. For me, he's got that little bit of smug attitude, but he does talk sense. He's a bit more prone to common sense than his old man, who tends to vent a bit too much, playing for my liking and for Paul Nicholls' liking apparently, but. Yeah, I mean, I can put up with both of those two. I wouldn't mind them giving Paul Carberry a go, actually. I think he'd be quite entertaining, but...
Apparently, he always does a preview evening in the north on the run-up to Cheltenham, and he is known to get the crowd singing Sweet Caroline and then take them all clubbing afterwards. And reports of him ending up in a Tesco trolley at about 3 a.m. So yeah, I think, but again, there's
nothing not to like about Paul, is there? Really?
No, and I definitely, people who have an opinion and have a strong opinion and aren't afraid to say what they think. But of course, if you do that in racing, then you'll be struck off by the noble elite.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, the last thing they want is opinions or even constructive criticism. You know, God forbid it's criticism for the sake of criticism.
Yeah.
But even the constructive stuff they don't want. I absolutely not.
I mean, I remember we're going back a few seasons here, but do you remember when Kid Cassidy put in all those special leaps at Aintree?
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was Rishi that said to Nicky Henderson, when he then won at Cheltenham, he said, well, what happened? Just literally said, can you shed any light on what happened at Aintree? And to be fair, like, he wasn't even inciting anything. He was literally just asking the question. And old night nurse himself went off on, like, literally, what are you suggesting? And actually, he wasn't actually suggesting anything. I think it was a genuine question to have asked, like, what did happen at Aintree? Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous.
Night nurse storms off to conduct a few more pre-race checks.
Bit like when he said that Binocular was working well and would win the champion hurdle at the Sandown preview the Saturday before Cheltenham, and there he was munching away in Martinstown. Anyway, we move on. Lee, what's your take on
similar to John, really? Like George Baker's quite amusing, really. Well, he isn't amusing. I mean, it's just. I mean, there's more smoke blowing there than it is ridiculous. I find it embarrassing that they can't get anyone that offers some kind of opinion other than this jockey's the best. This jockey knows what he's doing, and there's no way he'd have ridden a race like that if he didn't think that was the right race to ride. All those sort of comments, it's laughable, really. But yeah, I agree totally what John was saying. Yeah.
I mean, there's this mentality, isn't there, that jockeys know what they were doing and what have you. I mean, I was going a race for Mel a few years ago at Redcar, and he had an apprentice jockey at the time, and he was leading the source up for Mel, and he came to me and he said, "We're making the run in here." I said, "No, we're not. We're dropping in." And he said, "Oh, yeah, well," he said, "this wants to make the run in, it stays well." I said, "Well, it's dropping in, and that's the end of it." He said, "Well, how many winners have you ridden?" I said, "Well, nearly as many as you, and you had a licence 8 years."
Because you can actually see John delivering that line, can't you? Like, you can just hear it. The end of that question, though, Barney, hero or villain? He's a hero in my eyes. Anybody that can absolutely sort of come up with these plots and smash the bookies and do it right under their nose. Like, you've got to admire the gall of the guy, haven't you?
Well, having read his book, the best one for me that I was just belly laughing at is when his father sent him to take a dog to a track, and he said, "Give it this juice before it runs, and so it won't be winning." So Barney's looking through form as a teenager, and he's thinking, "Yeah, but this is going to win," and it was 7-1. So Barney didn't give it the juice. He had the under on at 7-1 of his own money. It bolts him by 5. His dad says, "What's happened there? How could that have happened?" And he said, I don't know. And Barney had the 100 at 7. Amazing.
Yeah.
He's doing that to his old man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's a hero in my eyes. Yeah. What about you, John?
Well, I do think he deserves hero status for the way he's taken the bookies on face to face and beating them more often than not. One of my favourite Brownie Curly stories I ever read was told to me by a very good friend that's a professional poker player, and it was the lad who got Yellow Sam ready for the big coup at Bellistown, and Brownie was getting another one ready, and this lad's, he's the go-to boy for stopping them, and making sure that they don't get spotted. And he's ridden this 2 or 3 times right now, and he's feeling it getting stronger and stronger. He's having more and more trouble trying to keep it out the frame, Anyway, Barney said, "No, not this time, next time, So he goes out to ride it, and He's pulling his way into contention, so he jumps off at the second last. And he busts his shoulder, this lad. Anyway, Barney, of course, being Barney, puts fans on hold and waits till the lad's coming back. He said, now we'll go again and all this, He's got that slightly menacing Ulster twang about him, hasn't he, Barney, Not today, And so, again, we got the same routine, and this lad's feeling his horse getting stronger. He knows Barney's not going to go next time, And he thinks, well, am I jumping through a fence again? And he thinks, no, stuff you, Barney. And he's pulling his way into contention, but at the second last, he just lets it go, and it wins about 15 lengths. He comes back in, Barney can't even speak. He's just apoplectic, He's bitten right through his cigarette. And he says he can feel Barney's eye burning into his back as he's getting off and taking the saddle off, So he just turned around and he said, I think this will get another half mile, Barney, and it'll probably win again if you get him out quick without getting reassessed and escarping for the way. And he said, Barney hadn't spoke to him since.
Yeah. It's again, I think we spoke about this last week. It's the elephant in the room, isn't it? We all know it goes on. If you watch as much racing as we do, and over the years you've watched as much racing as we have, it's all very easy to spot. But it's kind of the unspoken rule. You don't talk about it unless you're amongst racing people, and then only in covert operations. But we move on. Some great questions on your page, actually, John. Hilarious one here from Nick Davis. Do you think they should introduce a 5 furlong sprint from the top of the hill to liven things up a little at this meeting? We'd have great fun working out who was going to stop in the final furlong after running free down the hill. Yeah. Just trying to think how you'd even place the stalls on that bend. Tim Devine, who is Pam Sly's greatest horse, Speciosa or Eileen Dover?
Oh,
very funny.
Speciosa. Oh dear. Oh. I mean, I've got a story about Speciosa. It was so painful. I was there for the Nell Gwyn, and she was as woolly as I've ever seen anything turn up, like a woolly mammoth. And I thought, what have you done, Pam? You haven't even clipped the thing. And so straight away, I'm straight onto Betfair. Lay, more lay, and the rest is history. She bolted up, and then I was an idiot that spring because I didn't even back her in the Guineas. So that she's turned up woolly. That's not reported anywhere that she was woolly. And then you don't back her in the Guineas. I mean, what an idiot! But yeah, so that was not my finest. But
nobody would have even looked at her before the Nell Gwyn, apart from yourself, probably. That's why it wasn't even reported.
Well, it was freezing. It was like 5 degrees. It was like coldest cold. April ever that year, and I was stood there like absolutely jackets galore, scarves. It was really, really bitterly cold, and you're thinking these fillies just hadn't come to themselves, but she was particularly behind. And I thought there's no chance that she's going to do her best today, but she still won that. And then I don't even have a bet in the 1,000 Guineas. Crazy, what a fool. Yeah, not my finest hour.
I think there was a bit of actors in this with Tim Devine pointing this out, because I was at Doncaster with him when this ran in the May Hill.
Yeah.
And I actually said to him before the race, I said, what's that thing there with white face? I said, that looks an absolute standout again, nice. And then needless to say, I didn't back it. And obviously didn't back it in the Guineas. Just stood there open mouthed as Pam Sly won the Guineas. Quite astonishing, really. I hope Eileen Dover is as good.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Pam with a good horse.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Here's a good question from Greg Allen. Who, in your opinion, is the best and most irritating commentator in horse racing, both past and present? What did you make of Order of Australia winning the Breeders' Cup Mile and Aidan O'Brien having the tri-cast? Is it something to be praised spanking the Yanks, or does it wind you up? What did you think of Glass Sippers, and how many bookies have barred you in your business?
Right, God. Was there anything else you wanted to know?
I'm going to say, does he want me to wash his car or something?
Yeah,
or, anything else? A takeaway sent? Does he want to just eat? I mean,
Taxis
he probably does,
write his vets out for him, pay for
I
him.
think it's one that we're going to have to answer in bullet points.
Yeah. Well, bullet points for me would be best commentator would be Vic Stouffer for his in America for his commentary on Zenyatta in the Hollywood Cup, and the most irritating one probably would be Mike Battaglia, who used to commentate at Turfway Park, and if anyone YouTubes him, it's hilarious. He was probably the funniest commentator I've ever heard. So yeah, that's the two on that. O'Brien with the TriCast. Well, we know what we think about O'Brien. Can't be doing with him in big races with loads of runners. What was the other questions again?
Is it something to be praised spanking the Yanks, or does it wind you up? And what did you think of glass slippers, and how many bookers have barred you in your business?
Couldn't care less about the Yanks and stuff like that. I'm not interested in that. As in glass slippers, amazing, and Tom Eaves. I mean, it's like he can only ride 5 furlong horses. I mean, how can he win? What's he won? Three Abbeys and now 1 Breeders' Cup turf. And he's about 2%. In the UK. I mean, it's amazing what Tom's done on glass slippers. Yeah. That's me done anyway. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask John this question, and we'll finish with this one. So, John, which modern day commentator do you think is best, and which one winds you up the most?
Well, look, as regards commentating, I mean, I do like Mick Luck as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
And he's
ultimate professional.
Yeah. Commentators, one of the most irritating for me was Peter O'Sullivan.
I think that's what Ian Davis has put underneath, but with lots of things that I can't read out.
Yeah, massive after time. Massive. His book was absolute nonsense. He carried on about 15 years longer than he should have. His Grand National commentaries were riddled with mistakes. He almost ruined the 77 National with it. Just trying to drop John Hanmer in it when they were going to the first on the second circuit, and boom, Dockery shows him, he forgot what it was.
Oh yeah, he kind of goes but doesn't he, like that? Yeah. Then John Hanmer comes in and says Docker refused when 20 seconds there.
He flipped out completely on that. If you watch back some of these races, he makes some terrible jobs of what you actually thought were good races back in the past, and you think these commentaries absolutely ruin them, really. The mare's beginning to get up was a brief bit of daylight in the dark, to be honest. As regards modern day stuff, I mean, I think you've got Peter Norton there, who is flock wallpaper in human form. Crap as you want, as long as you don't criticise anyone, you've got to give for life, The Breeders' Cup, wouldn't care less about Aidan O'Brien having the first 3. It's just what is likely to happen on occasion when he has millions of runners. Mm-hmm. I don't think more of our horses should be going over there. I mean, the Yanks are just terrible at turf racing, and now our trainers have finally sussed that it's a long way and you need to stick a bit of condition on them before you take them. We're laughing, really. As regards glass slippers, I thought people that backed it were probably wearing sponge slippers as they bounced off the walls of the padded cells prior to the race, but you can't take it away from 2% Tommy, give it a page.
Yeah. 2% Tom, brilliant. I will just finish that very good question by saying that of all the commentators, I think, and that really wind me up, actually talking like race commentators, and I every time, big meeting, great, turn on the TV and you find that he's the commentator at the premier meeting of the day, is Ian Bartlett. like someone can be making a standard race move, maybe just inching off the rail a bit, or like, you know, literally moving one length up, just as you would in race riding, and it's literally like he's done something fantastic, you know, and he'll just be like, oh, there's a move there, and really shout that. And I don't get why he gets all the big gigs, to be quite honest. And there's a lot of people on the commentary rota that don't get a shot at the big gigs that really should. I mean, there's two sort of commentators that I quite like, both very professional and definitely apt at doing their job, and that's Mark Slater and Martin Harris. Great,
yeah,
great commentators. I've had the pleasure of working with both of them. Really nice guys as well, real dedicated to their cause. And I'm like, I don't think these guys get a shot at the big meetings. You know, but then again, it's as we know about the game, and we will move on to the racing, I promise. It's not what you know, it's who you know, isn't it? Let's face it, that's what this game runs on. But anyway, let's start with the big race of the weekend, the Paddy Power Gold Cup at Cheltenham. I really fancy one here. I'll start with Sirra de Lac. I thought that his jumping as a novice campaign when he won at Cheltenham, I thought his jumping was absolutely sensational. Pulled up in this race last year. If I remember rightly, just before this race last year, there was an absolute deluge, and it was literally like we were paddling on course. I think as long as he's not feeling any ill effects from the awful fall that he took at the festival when running a fantastic race at the time, I think that he was 12-1 this morning and backed into 10s now. I can see him going off a lot shorter tomorrow. So that's my pick. Lee, where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned this to me earlier, I went back and just basically looked at the horse's career, and you know, he's not a horse that takes a lot of racing. You can see that from the gaps between runs, and you definitely think when he will shine is when he's fresh, because obviously that's the kind of horse he is. It was very unlucky at Cheltenham, and when you consider that Simply the Bets is who is very progressive in his own right, but when he was sort of like 5-1 and Sirra de Lac was 12-1, the price is under pressure now. But you think with the wind up as well, to tighten the wind up, he's a handy runner which suits this course. You know, he'll be nice and handy. And like you say, if he doesn't remember that fall, he's going to be very dangerous, I think, tomorrow. Yeah,
absolutely. John, you got one for us in the main event?
Yes, I'm absolutely devastated that you picked that out, because 2 days ago I was telling a very argumentative ginger friend of mine that I'd chosen out, and because it has got a trainer upgrade, Lizzie Kelly was nothing more than a bad memory, and it was going to be best caught fresh. I was going to have a good bet on Sirra de Lac.
Well, I think, like, surely with the three of us agreeing, that's
a power nap. It's a gold maximum bet. Gold.
Yeah. Has this ever happened before?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I thought, well, I found one really left trailed there. The other one I was interested in actually was Slate House. I thought that would have won this last year, but it fell in the second half. But
Stable just coming into form now. We've seen the green shoots of revival from the Tizard stable. Yeah.
But the pipey horse was me one. Right? So,
we're all in on Sirra de Lac.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
Excellent. So let's just have a little look at the supporting card. Now, I was really disappointed in the card today at Cheltenham. I thought it was possibly one of the worst cards I've seen at Cheltenham for a Premier meeting, or really let alone any meeting. So I didn't really play today. The juvenile hurdle to kick things off. I don't really like backing juveniles at this stage of the season. Lee, do you have anything in this race?
I've certainly no bets, but I did have a really good bet on Dufflecoat at Wetherby last time. He's progressive, but again, they put this horse to sleep a little bit. And on this track, I do like them a bit handier than sort of dropped out. So I'm not going to play. I think the Nichols horse is very short for what it's done. It had a very easy lead at Chepstow, very easy lead.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's not a playing race for me. John, you anything in the Juvie?
Well, I think Dufflecoat's a very, very strong staying type, and it's probably going to be better in the actual Triumph, where I think you need to probably get 2.5, rather than this, where there won't be the same end-to-end gallop. I thought possibly Adagio might run well, but I'd be loath to oppose Dufflecoat, really.
Yeah. And this is really confusing because obviously they've moved the races around a bit this year, and the conditional jockeys and amateurs riders race is normally what kicks things off on a Friday.
Yeah.
This is all much of a muchness, and I think there's nothing in here that really stands out. Anything to me would be the winner of the amateur riders race at the October meeting, Bermeo. Obviously, this is a better race, gets in here off 10 stone. Angus Cheltenham taking 7 off that. You really got to go with that again. 7-1. I think that'll be a bet for me on the day. Lee?
No, I'm very strong on one in here.
Okay.
Basically, Kill Film Cross. I think his form stands out against these. Second in the Kim Muir at Cheltenham. To Milan native of 138, 141 today. Fakenham was never going to suit him. It was clear to me that was a spin last time out.
Okay.
And as I said, his balance of his form, I think, an each way bet. He loves this. He loves this course here. If you look, he was second in the Kim Muir, and in fact. That's right. Yeah, he was second in the Kim Muir twice over the 3.25 mile. Yeah, I didn't know it was the same race. Yeah, so basically, you've got a horse here that loves the track, loves the ground, has handled big weights before, and I think he's a very, very, very solid each way bet in a race with little depth. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we are expecting any minute a deluge of rain.
Yeah.
So, and it's looking to be getting heavier every time I look at the phone. It's going to start around 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it really is. It's going to just be rain all day. So I think possibly by the time post time comes tomorrow, I think we could even be looking at a little bit of heavy in the description, which obviously is going to maybe throw one or two people's punting out, especially for ground that's been opened up and then rained on again for Sunday. But yeah, John, did you like anything in this?
Yes, I did. I liked Ocean Cove.
Okay.
This is actually one of about 4 horses to follow have got over the sticks this year.
Okay.
And it went in my notebook a couple of times last year. I think it's open to quite a bit of improvement, this horse, in its second season chasing. It's only 8-year-old, not a lot of miles on the clock. I like the trainer very much. I think he's doing very well with what material he gets. I thought he ran as though it needed the Debriel this year. And I think that will just put it spot on for this. And I think 132 is well within its capabilities.
Okay.
So I'm really quite interested in that.
Superb. Thanks for that, John. And moving on to the November chase, the 140. I like the mare in this. Obviously, following the footsteps of Put the Kettle On last year, Henry de Bromhead bringing over Zakharova. I know that she's got a little bit to find on official ratings. She's a Grade 3 winner in Ireland. I just have a bit of a strong fancy for her, and at 8-1, I'm quite prepared to take that chance. Lee, you with anything?
Just a tentative choice here. Very difficult, obviously. With first time out this season for some horses, and how they're going to take to the fences. But I did think there was something interesting about Cheltenham because it won on the flat, and the season before it didn't manage to win on the flat of the same course, if the same prep. And I was quite impressed with how it did it that day. He only won a length, but I know it was off a fairly lowly mark. And I know that's nothing to do with jumping fences, but just the fact of the well-being of the horse. I thought the horse was really well, and Paul Nicholls been very positive about it in its schooling. So I thought Cheltenham a tentative choice for me at around the 9-2 mark.
Okay, yeah, and obviously that was his first run back after a wind-up, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, totally get that. John, you with anything here?
I thought Endo's horse was pretty blameless at the head of the market, really, and the Nicholls horse is a danger, but I wasn't really too excited by the contest, in honesty.
Yep, understand that. It's
I think there's plenty in there that's much of a muchness.
Yes, yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. Okay, so we've covered the main event. We'll just swing down here to the hurdle, the listed hurdle. There is one that I like in here, and I wish that I'd have sort of liked it a bit more to play at the 12s, because it's now 13-2, and that's Paul Nolan's horse, Mrs. Milner. It's probably going to, by the time I end up sort of getting round to it, it's probably going to have gone a little bit too short for me to have a bet with that. This looks like a typical competitive Cheltenham handicap. T Clipper was fairly solid at Chepstow. No surprise to see him heading the market there. Lee, you with anything?
Yeah, interesting race. Mrs. Milner, I gave a squeak, yes, like you said, at the big prices. I did like her. However, I did like Golden Fortune, but again, the price is under pressure. Yeah. Double figures into about, into shorter now, 7 and 8 to 1. Golden Fortune won the race last year, and basically for me at Aintree, it was a bit of a muddling sort of race, really. And that, to me, I thought showed he's in great form. And before that, he was sort of like never getting clear daylight. And I reckon he'll have needed it that day. He went off 50s over an inadequate trip of 2 miles 5. And obviously now he'll get his distance of ground. Interested in why they put the visor on first time. Yeah. Might spark a bit of improvement. But anyway, Golden Fortune I thought was interesting at the price.
Okay, John?
I thought Goodman Pat was possibly worth a little bit of a whisper. Decent enough debut this year. Just waking late on. Back up in trip for this 25 to 1. A sporting bet, no more than that.
Thanks for that, John. The intermediate hurdle is, I don't know, it's not really a race that I would be getting involved in here. Lee?
Well, what I would advise anyone to do here is, I know it's a bit of a mug bet sometimes to back a horse after it's been backed, but the Nicky Henderson horse here, Son of Camas, has had the wind up. He thought a lot of this horse last year. He put it in the Tolworth. Yes. I mean, it's the kind of horse you'll look after this race. You'll look after the race, and it might go off say 9 to 4, 2 to 1 favourite, and you'll think, well, I can't back it at that, and it wins hard held off a mark of 133 because the trainer thinks it's a horse last year. In fact, he even said, I think before the Tolworth last year, he said he did a terrific piece of work last Tuesday. So you can imagine what he thinks of Son of Camas. So it's one of them, really. After the event, you think, the
horse is clearly ready, because he says in here, in the Racing Post, I like him a lot. The plan is to go chasing. He's a big burly horse and jumps fences very well. This will sharpen him up a bit. So obviously in the great tradition of Endor, he shows him point blank to give anybody a leg up. He's making sure he gets 11 to 4 plus about this tomorrow.
Yeah. I won't be afraid of taking short odds.
Definitely be ready. That just increases my confidence that it will be ready. I'm saying that.
Yeah. Okay, great stuff.
It wouldn't do you a favour, would he? I mean,
No.
If you were drowning, he'd chuck you a breeze block.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Nicky, help! Well, there you go. Cheers. Yeah. Okay. Moving swiftly on, the mayor's bumper.
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me. No, John.
Absolutely not. No. Can we do Wolverhampton now?
Yeah, you can do what you want. If you have one at Wolverhampton, you go for it.
I have one at Wolverhampton.
Fabulous. Go on then.
It is a strong nap.
Okay.
This is in the 7:30, and it's a horse called Commit No Nuisance.
Okay.
William Knights.
Yeah. Callum Shepherd on board. Have it here. Yes.
Yeah. The thing with this is, it's definitely an all-weather horse. I'd have loved to have seen it round Southwell actually, because the straight leg action on it, it just reminds you of proper American dirt grinder, really. But this will do. I'm happy enough with this. It's been gelded. It's very unexposed on the all-weather. I think it's at one run. It was crying out for further the last time we seen it. Williams in excellent form. He's about 60% on the Racing Post ratings. Horse is running 2 or above expectations. I think 8-1 is absolutely fantastic. I've already had some on. I'll probably have some more on.
Keep shoveling it, John.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I've just as John's been saying that, I've just watched it back. Jeez. I mean, yeah. How's that not going to improve plenty for an extra furlong for starters? Yeah. Really good shout, that, John. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody listening, remember where you first heard it. Commit No Nuisance, 7:30 at Wolves tomorrow night. So when you've done your absolute bollocks at Cheltenham and Punchestown, there's your get out stake, definitely. And we do, of course, promote responsible gambling. I was only joking. I probably should say that because you can get sued.
It could go 7-5, couldn't it?
Probably
will now, John. Your reputation precedes you. John, you've got one at Punchestown for us, haven't you?
Yes. It's the Gavin Cromwell horse in the Norris Chase. What's he up against?
Star.
Yeah, just trying to think of the one it's up against.
Sizing Potsy. Felix Desjardins is the favourite.
Yeah, that also ran at Cheltenham, didn't it? The thing is, I mean, this is clear on the clock. It's got plenty in hand on the ratings, and yet the more or less inseparable on price, these two. I think the other thing will just give it a nice laid up. It'll take him at the second last and win 8 land.
Okay, great stuff. The Punchestown card is absolutely fantastic over the 2 days. On Sunday, of course, they've got the Mariana, but the mare's race is beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. So I think probably out of the 2 meetings, I would say Punchestown's actually got the better quality this weekend. But we'll move on. We'll move on to Sunday at Cheltenham. I actually think that this is probably, out of the 3 days, I think in terms of quality, this is actually the strongest for me anyway. There's a few that I like on this card, and if we'll just kick off with the first race, the Novice Chase. Horse that's had his jumping problems but seems to have now straightened them out. The Mighty Don, obviously, I think he won a Temps qualifier here over hurdles, and he's very, very talented but hasn't always got the landing gear out. James Davis riding a few winners now as well, and if you look at the prices, I think 11-1 is rather over. I think they're going on his reputation of falling rather than his talent. I think that's a pretty big price, so I'll be having a bet in that. Lee, anything for you?
Interested you picked that one out, Cathryn. I was amazed that the Mighty Don managed to overhaul Enrillo at Chepstow, because if you watch Enrillo, it jumped phenomenally, and I mean, in running bettors thought the same thing, because obviously they forced Enrillo into a short price throughout because of the way he was jumping, and the Mighty Don just it was like getting off the canvas and saying, I can't catch you because you're jumping every fence so well, and he just overhauled him, just said, right, I'm coming after you, I've got you. And like you say, I thought the same. I thought, like, double figures for that. I there's no way I'd be laying tens plus for the Mighty Don. So yeah, good pick.
Yeah, it's I've always liked the horse, and it's just been unfortunate. But I think that like, he took an absolute crusher of a fall at Kempton. Of course, Kempton being such a speed track, we all know they can go a fair clip around here, but I think that obviously with the ground as well, by the time we get to Sunday, they are going to be going that little bit slower, which I think will help him. I think when he's absolutely flat out into a fence is sometimes where he can become unstuck, and I think 11-1 is a fair price for that. Moving on to the handicap chase, horse in here that definitely won't mind the heavy ground at all. And it's another one from the Pipe stable, is Ramsey de Tay. Won here over hurdles last season. I think obviously he's had a warm up. He's had a run. I think that's going to be putting him spot on for this. You've got all the usual suspects for what you would think for a long distance Cheltenham handicap chase. We've got Yalarenki in there. We've got West Approach. You've got Big River. You've got Cloth Cap. But Ramsey de Tay at 8-1, he'd be the bet for me. John, have you had a look at this long distance chase?
I did, yes.
I know how you love them.
Oh, yeah. Take a bit of rating. I quite like Cloth Cap, but I thought the double swastika one, number 8, Captain Drake, German bred both sides of the pedigree. I think by Sunday it might be pretty swampy down there.
Yeah.
Obviously, unlike yourself, Cathryn, I don't go to all Simon Clace's Tupperware parties. So
regular.
Track
he's a local Avon guy, regular.
Yeah, I don't know the total inside track on the ground, but I'm assuming it'll be very boggy on Sunday, and I think it'll probably suit Captain Drake. Ach, dung, baby.
Love it.
Lee, anything?
Yeah, I was very keen on Cloth Cap, because I was taken aback that there was money for this.
Yeah, we said at the time, didn't we?
We did, yeah, on reappearance. I'm thinking, no, surely not. But it's clear to me then. So they've backed it on reappearance. So that means to say they're sharper than they normally are. And they've obviously got a Grand National aim with this, I think. So
yes.
They're wanting about, probably, what would you want? 144, 144, 145.
Yeah.
So this will be off for its life. And, it's one of them. It's got nice weight, travels well, a bit jadey in a finish, but each way a pleasure, I think, around the 8-1 mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely get that. Racing here of 10-6 as well.
Yeah.
Certainly be a help in what will be a lake by Sunday. Moving on to the Schlur chase, however way you want to pronounce that.
You made a marvellous job of that, Cathryn. I'm not even going to attempt to get anywhere near that. It's just that Schlur to me.
That's only because in my time from broadcasting at Cheltenham, if you don't get the correct pronunciation of every race and every sponsor, you get a beating. So that's the only way that I know how to pronounce that. Anyway, I would be very concerned about the form of the Hobbs Yard for Deathy. I'm not really sure what happened in the champion chase, because I felt that he really did progress last season and really showed himself from a horse that I thought the previous season possibly didn't always want to go past. I thought that he really showed himself to be a real little street fighter last season. Very, very odd in the champion chase. Why he was taken that wide, I'll never know. I don't know. It's just still scratching my head about that one. Of course, an all-known form. Of course, he's going to be favourite, but it's actually the second favourite, the ARCA winner, that really interests me. Put the kettle on. Her jumping, her jumping is just a thing of beauty. It really is. Obviously, she loves it round here. No bother with the ground. She's the bet for me in there. We're good to see Rouge Vif stepping up. Looks to be the next logical step for him. But I think this is a pretty decent race. You also obviously got a previous ARCA winner in here, Duke de Genève, running for Paul Nicholls for the first time. Wind up, and he wears a hood and a tongue tie for the first time. So it'd be good if he could recapture a little bit of form as well. John, fancy anything?
Not really. I was hoping that Brian Ellison would revise his plans and take Forest to be on somewhere where it might win. Because I like this horse fresh, and I think it'll probably run well up until about the fourth last. But I would have liked to have seen it on better ground.
Okay.
I don't think this will suit. If the rain doesn't materialise, I will have a bit on at 33 plus.
Okay.
Just because I do think it goes along quite nicely fresh.
Okay. Lee?
Well, concurring with what you were saying about Defi Dessert, the form of the Hobbs yard particularly is poor when they're making the reappearance. For example, since restart, Hobbs is just 6% with horses off the absence, just 6%, just beating 43% of runners. So he doesn't even beat half the runners. So you can see why people make the dead yard analogy, but he's not so dead after one run, but when they haven't had a run, he's been terrible. So I think anyone that is rushing to take the 2-1 with a dead jockey on board as well, I mean, it's no good for me. It's late with striping Defi Dessert on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Hilarious. The Greatwood, I think, is a great little race. I do like the Greatwood. Obviously, your friend's got a runner in this, guys.
Yes, Mr. Dan Greatwood. just call him Mr. Greatwood. Anyway, it can't win, can it?
He's made a complete mess. 136. I don't think it was Dan's ever planned to. I mean, the Utoxeter win, for example, I think took him by surprise because I don't think, I'm not saying it wasn't there to do its best, but basically it wasn't there to do its best. But anyway,
It just keeps taking people by surprise, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he wasn't supposed to be off, but he wasn't supposed to be off.
Yeah. But anyway, so 136. That's just a silly mark when you consider that one of Skelton's later on in the card's got 129. That's probably should be 149. It's poor Dan. I think it's all gone wrong off 130.
It's all gone wrong.
Yeah.
And it started off so positively as well. There are a couple in here that interest me actually. Tudor City, obviously past winner of the Galway Hurdle. Liam McKenna takes a valuable 7 off. Ground would be just right for him, 33-1 at the moment. That's a nice price. Leo, I know we talked about this earlier in the week. Sebastopol, just waiting to see what the ground is like really for that one. Of course, Jonathan Burke has a great association for Tom Lacey. People go on about when Dickie rides for Tom Lacey. Well, I'd rather have Jonathan Burke riding for Tom Lacey any day of the week. And one right down the bottom, can't really quite work out what's going on. Chase rating of 132, hurdle rating of 128. Emmett Mullins with the shunter, her hood and tongue tying on for the first time, only 14-1. I'm not really sure, is this put in here as a little stepping stone to something else, or is this put in here for the real deal? We'll never know until we see what the market is doing on Sunday morning. But they would certainly be 3 that interest me. Obviously, the ground very dependent for our friend Sebastopol. Yourself, Lee?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I do like Sebastopol because when he won at was it Wincanton? I think it was.
Yes.
Yes, it was. I mean, I don't think I've seen a more impressive handicap hurdle winner all last season than that win at Wincanton. And then at Huntington next time, he didn't quite work out for him. I think the different ride, close up, keen, didn't quite work out, and then he went to Musselburgh. You know, did it well, but I do think he's ground dependent, and I wanted good ground for him. You know, that was
yeah.
But so it's a shame, and I'm struggling for a selection. I've got to be honest. Really.
Okay. John?
Yes. Cast your minds back 811 days. Picture the scene at Vichy. Thinking Noddles up in a 11-runner hurdle. We don't see it since. Now, whether it's been riding around on Pipey's BMX all this time, I don't know, but looking at what's gone on here, we've had a wind up, we've got a tongue tie, there's everything gone on there except a new kitchen being fitted. Why on earth?
That's Ronan's job.
Why on earth is
He's
this
got
running
for that.
You know, I mean, this could be having a noddle round Taunton, winning 15 lengths and everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's coming here.
Thinking.
You're thinking. I'm thinking it's hugely significant.
Okay, John, nice spot. Well done.
Yeah, good shout.
Not often I imagine myself at Vichy, I must admit, but you know, you put me right there now. I almost feel en français. Yeah, good.
You can smell the garlic, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's the thing. I mean, the run at Vichy was 27th of August 2018. Yeah, you're right. What is it doing here? Okay, let's move on to the last few races here at Cheltenham. Of course, we've got the Supreme Trial. Had a brief, not really one I might get involved in. Let's see what happens with the price of Dilo Valis. Lee, did you sweet on one here?
Yeah, Dan Skelton's is absolutely different here. To 129. I mean, we talked about Cormier getting 136 for sort of questionable form in my view. But then Dan's got this one off 129 by winning at 1-6 and 2-7, beating absolute geese. But we say geese. The one it beat at your Toxeter, Ocean Drifter. Went in, beat Earl of Harrow at Fontwell next time in his novice hurdle and has got a rating of 120, and he absolutely thrashed Ocean Drifter, and I mean thrashed. 129, I would put, at this stage of his career, I would say there's an 140 performance in him at the moment, and at 6-4-ish, I think he's a banker.
Okay, awesome, thanks for that. John, anything for you?
Arguing with that would be like taking on 60 coppers in the miners' strike. No. I'm throwing full square behind Lay there.
Okay. Move on to the bumper. Obviously, quite a notable one over from the BFG. That's Big Fat Gord, by the way. It's just easier just to say the BFG. Camp David was beaten by this horse at Listowel, 9 lengths. Comes here. I really like to get involved in bumpers that much, but I might. Let's see what the ground does. See what happens with the price. We'll know what's happening with the market, but I think it's significant that he's popping over here for a run round the listed bumper when he could be doing that in his home ground. Lee, anything in the bumper?
Yeah, I'm like you. I mean, I don't like playing in bumpers because I've not got a great record myself, and I know that. I like to get involved, but somehow I never do well. But this one looked a machine at Listowel, absolute machine. But then again, you know, you're dealing with young unexposed stores that you don't know what's coming. So
yeah. John, bumper.
By this stage of proceedings, at a place like Cheltenham, usually the water's gone through the eyelets in your brogues, your feet are cold and wet. The other three that you share,
and the red trousers are so.
Yeah, the other three that you share in the car with have all had a bet, and all you want to do is head for the car. That would be my take on the bumper.
Okay, just a quick look at the Sunday card at Punchestown. It is pretty decent. That's an understatement. It's quite. Latest exhibition runs in the Florida Pearl. Obviously, was involved in that fantastic finish, beating the neck in the Albert Bartlett. Comes here at the 4-6 favourite. But Lee, I see our friend Court Maid is actually, she's on a chase mark of 142. Latest exhibition, of course, yet to get a mark over fences. But I do feel that there is further improvement in this mare. So, and she is currently 15-2. So again, something I will be watching. Got an absolutely amazing mare's hurdle, the listed mare's hurdle, Magic of Light, Daylight Katie, Build Me Up Buttercup, Ellie Mae and Black Tears. Great selection of girls there. If you have any fancies at Punchestown, please just shout at me now. Samwa rather,